Hello and welcome to City Corner. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. We have a fun show for you today as we have Ed Callison, an actor and musician who has a big event coming up to the Callison Ballroom in 2024. And Susie Bonwich from City Foundry will be here to join us and tell us about some exciting things going on over there. So stay with us for City Corner coming up on STL TV. Our first guest today is a Hollywood actor and a local musician, Ed Callison. Welcome to City Corner.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for having me.
You know, I've seen some of your bits, and you know, it must be a lot of fun out in Hollywood. I know you've had a lot of experiences out there, but it's not all glamorous. It's a lot of hard work as well.
It's a hard business. You know, I grew up here in St. Louis, St. Charles, Missouri, and grew up, playing music, and later on got into the acting. But my son went out to L.A. Back in '07 to do some acting as a young man, and I started going out on auditions and started booking things. So I enjoyed it for the time I was out there, but I'm back here now, full-time musician and full-time job in the insurance business. So
how about that?
I stay busy.
Well, in the Hollywood business out there, what were some of your, fun movies that you were a part of or got credits in? And who are some of the, famous actors you might have got to rub elbows with or, do some scenes with?
Sure. Well, quite a few. I mean, I did some stuff here, too, on some local films that were done. George Clooney, Up in the Air, if y'all remember that film.
Oh, yeah, that was
about 9-10 years ago. Did a few scenes with George, and then met George at a SAG screening in Los Angeles about 6 months later. And after these SAG films, they'll do a Q&A, and then you can meet the actor, get a picture with him. And George says, come on down here. You were in the film, get a picture with me. And he was just gracious as can be, just a great guy.
Well, that's pretty neat. I was working at Charlie Gito's, and I was managing it, and I got a call saying, this is the George Clooney set, and we need an order of food brought down.
Is that
I'm
right?
like, oh, yeah, right. And he was there.
Oh,
he was right
right
there. A friend of mine was just standing.
Sure.
He seemed like a pretty neat guy.
Oh, super cool guy. But, a lot of people, and just over the years, you spend enough time around these people, just like everybody else, and you don't want to bother them. At the same time, when you see someone like that, you want to say hi, at least, talk to them. But easy guy to get along with. But other films, met a lot of other people, but George kind of stuck out in my mind. He's a super guy.
You do a lot of commercials and things as well. And
did some commercials. And,
there's a Super Bowl commercial that you were in. Could you maybe lay the groundwork? Because I want to show it to our viewers.
Doritos, yeah, it was fun. That was about 10 years ago, and it was filmed outside of Los Angeles, near the San Bernardino Mountains, at a place where they did a lot of films, a lot of Western films, and hot, about 100 degrees. I had a long leather coat, as you'll see in the video, and it was for Doritos, killer flavor. Showdown is what it was called. It was that was a fun little thing to do.
How long did that take to shoot?
Just one day.
Really?
One day, yeah. One full day for a 30-second spot, Todd.
Wow. So, just goes to show how many takes and different things you have to go through. Because everybody sees the final, the final production, but a lot of people don't realize how much hard work goes behind it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Let's take a look at Ed Callison's Super Bowl commercial for Doritos. Do you remember what Super Bowl that was from?
That was about 10 years ago. I don't know the exact number. Which one's coming up
You
now,
must have had fun, though, like at the Super Bowl parties.
Yeah.
When your commercial comes on. And,
yeah.
I mean, those things are like $30 million for 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't even know it was me because what I had on, the hat, the coat, and scruffy, but that's okay. And then later people seen it like, oh, that was you, okay. Yeah, but a lot of fun.
Now, when you were in L.A. and in Hollywood, you were downtown and you witness things like Skid Row.
Oh, sure.
And some crazy things that go on down there.
Sure.
And we were talking, recently, and you were telling me that you actually went down to Skid Row.
Sure.
And all the
holidays,
action to help out.
On Thanksgiving, on the Christmas holidays, before we come back to St. Louis, we would go down and serve the people that were homeless. They would come in with food. We didn't supply the food. We just were there serving the food. We'd have the aprons on, the LA, mission. And it's just always good giving back for those that are less fortunate. We did that many, many years. And it's quite a sight. I mean, it's sad in a way, but at the same time, helping them makes you feel good.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what brought you back to St. Louis? Because your brother Richie
He
stayed
went
out in
back.
LA and your son's out there, but
Yeah.
why'd you want to come back home?
This is home. My insurance business is here. The music I play with, the duos I do on the weekends, the Pink Houses USA, John Cougar Mellencamp tribute is here. Our Freebird, Leonard Skinner tribute is here. My music is here. And I have played music out there with several friends. But it's different. The community here is amazing. There's so much music, so many great bands, so many great players. Music and my business mainly.
It really seems like in St. Louis, the musicians kind of have their own little fraternity. Everybody seems they want to, collaborate with the other guy. I mean, you're doing things with Freebird USA. I know Mike Measy, who was a longtime drummer with Chuck Berry for like 30 years.
And Head East.
And he was with your brother in Head East.
Yeah.
And you guys are collaborating right now with some different things.
We are. Mike's a great guy. I've known Mike a long time, and Richie's known him even longer, from playing with Head East on the road. But we've got a lot of shows coming up next year. And then next, we've got a show coming up with John Cougar Mellencamp next month.
Yes.
At the Casa Loma Ballroom, which we're real excited about. It'll be our third show. We've got a great opener, Fortunate Son, which is a really good Creedence Clearwater Revival tribute. They'll open the show at 7, and we'll come on around 8:30.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Casa Loma Ballroom.
Yeah.
I mean, what a historic place. Because,
it's a landmark.
I mean, how long has it been here? 100 years?
Probably? A long time. We had a show a couple weeks back at the Diamond Music Hall in St. Peter's with our Pink Houses USA, and the owner, Pat Brannon, had called me about a week before and said, I'd like to come out and see your show. Interested in seeing you play at the Casa Loma. So he came out, loved the show, came to the green room after the show and said, can we get you booked in here real soon? So we set it up for January 27th. We're really excited about the show because it is a landmark. I've never played there. I've been there. I seen Little River Band there about 15 years ago. It's a big venue. It's a beautiful stage, great sound system. So we're really looking forward to that show, Todd.
Some of the venues around St. Louis are just amazing. I mean, you've got large venues. You got the Busch Stadium and the Dome, and then the little quaint spots.
That's right.
And I know you like to hit some of the wineries around the region. Can you maybe talk about some of the great wineries?
Absolutely.
That you're, I think it's Darren Hank.
Darren Hank. I do a lot of duels with Darren Hank, and I do some shows as well with Stephen Winter and a few other guys if Darren's not available. But all the Hoffman family wineries out in Augusta, Montel, Balducci, Mount Pleasant, all of these we play at least once a month during the April through October season. And some of them are year-round, like the Quarry out in Wentzville. All great venues. Lake Creek Winery in Marthasville, great little place, one of our favorite places to play. It's fun. It's a duo, sometimes a trio, but we play all genres, country, rock, yacht rock, funk, R&B, blues. I like to play it all. The only thing I probably don't play is jazz.
Okay.
I play congas and sing with the duos.
So what do you think about the expansion of all the wineries out there? Because the Hoffman family, I think they're coming from California.
They are.
Napa Valley. And,
they are.
I mean, they've dropped a boatload of money out there.
Hold on.
I'm not sure all the residents out there are real excited about it with everything being bought up.
More traffic.
But it's going to be more traffic. You've got a riverboat out there now.
Sure.
And what are your thoughts?
Well, they're bringing a lot of money to the area, though. At the same time, they're spending money. Look at all the jobs they're bringing. They're building hotels. I think it's a great thing. Augusta is a landmark area as well. It's historic, and they're putting money back in, which is not a bad thing. That family's from Washington, Missouri, so they're kind of bringing it back to their hometown.
Okay. I know they've sold a couple of properties as well. Do you have a favorite winery out there?
You know what? I like playing at all of them. I really like the family at Lake Creek in Marthasville, the Flesh family, Ken Flesh and his brother Don and the whole crew. They're just such great people. We'll be out there this Saturday from 1 to 4. We're going to do a show, Darren and I, from 1 to 4. That's Lake Creek Winery in Marthasville, Missouri.
Lake Creek Winery. And then we have the City Winery. We're going to have to try to get you down to the City Winery. I know
that would be great.
Our next guest might be able to help you out a little bit with that.
I hope so.
Before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about Freebird USA, how that got together, and then if you have any final thoughts.
Yeah, Freebird USA about six and a half years ago, right after Chuck Berry passed away, Mike Meese, the drummer that was with Head East, we did a little tribute out in Wentzville for Chuck. Ingrid, Chuck's daughter, was there, and a lot of players playing music together. The next day, Mike called and said, "Hey, would you be interested in singing in a tribute to Leonard Skinner?" I'm thinking, okay, let me think about that. And as I told you, I called him back the next day and said, let's do it. So that's how it all started. And we're about 6 years into it now, so we're doing a lot of shows every year. And then just last year with the Pink Houses USA, the new one, John Cougar Mellencamp tribute, is when it's newer, it's even closer to your heart, I guess. We started talking about a year ago about putting something together, but nobody really got serious about getting together to rehearse, because that's always the hard part. And then early this year, we started rehearsing every week, week in, week out. We did our first show this summer over at the Highway 61 Roadhouse in Webster Groves, and then we did a second show here recently at the Diamond Music Hall, and had a great crowd, a great night. And now our next show is going to be, like I said, January 27th, the Callison Ballroom.
Callison Ballroom.
Tickets, you can call 314-664-8000. Doors open at 6. Show kicks off at 7. We come around 8:30, we'll be on.
All right. Well, Ed, thank you very much for joining us on City Corner today.
Thank you so much for your time.
Really appreciate it.
Appreciate the interview.
We're going to go ahead and take a quick break now, but stay with us as Susie Beinwich from the City Foundry is going to tell us about some really cool new businesses opening up over in Grand Center. Stay with us.
Visitors and residents love the St. Louis Zoo because it's free. There's a train, a carousel, opportunities to make new friends, and plenty of fun learning experiences with the animals 363 days a year. So come and experience St. Louis.
You know, how you feel on the inside is just as important to me as how you feel on the outside.
Oh, Daddy. I'm grown up, is there in every way, care and take care of you. You're my grown up and I know you're there. I'm your grown up and you know I care. 'Cause it's you and me and you. So when you are okay or not okay, I'll take care of you.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
And welcome back to City Corner. I'm Todd Blackstock. Over the holiday season, VP St. Louis was spreading joy, teaming up with Mission St. Louis. The VP St. Louis Community Impact Foundation purchased 100 bikes from Big Shark Bicycle Company, assembled and delivered them to Mission St. Louis to provide gifts for kids in need. They also donated a check for $5,000 to Mission St. Louis. VP St. Louis serves the region throughout the year. Its mission is to provide a fun, rewarding, and diverse organization for members and their families to give back and celebrate all that's great in St. Louis. To discuss partnership opportunities, contact Wendell Covington at wcovington@vpcif.org or call him at 314-533-5001. Our second guest today is from the City Foundry in Grand Center, and the St. Louis VP headquarters is right next to the Foundry. They work hand in hand on a lot of great events, and at this time, we'd like to welcome Susie Bonwich to City Corner.
Thank you
Susie,
so much.
Thank you. It must be fun being next to the VPs. I mean, you kind of share a building, and there's a lot of events going on both back and forth. I'm sure there's some, some crossover there a little bit.
Yes, they are great neighbors. And then also you mentioned Big Shark, which also is at the City Foundry as well. They have a location there. So just a lot of action and giving happening down there.
See how everything ties together,
That's
We've got
St. Louis, right?
Hollywood actors and musicians, and then concert venues like yourself. The City Foundry has been a tremendous asset to St. Louis, and I guess it's been there for a few years now.
Yeah.
And, what sparked the interest to put something right there in that part of town?
It's been quite an adventure. I've been there since just 2020, so right before it opened. We opened in 21, so like you said, we've been there for about 3 years. But it started with a vision from Steve Smith, the CEO of the Lawrence Group in New and Found, and his son Will. And they got there probably around 2014, 2015 to this dilapidated foundry building, completely run down, and they saw it. They were like, this is it. Not only architecturally and being able to celebrate the architecture of St. Louis, but then also have this hub and this dream that you see today.
I mean, those guys must be visionaries because, it takes a great mind and a businessman, to see something that's like, you know what, I can turn that dilapidated property into a gem for the city.
Exactly.
And in Grand Center with all the arts and the hotels and the St. Louis University campus right there, it seems like a perfect segue and a perfect business for that area.
A perfect extension on what was happening in Grand Center. And you also see SLU renovating their buildings, and you see all the other things happening in Midtown. It's a really fast growing, just really lively area now.
So what were some of the first businesses that came in there, like, I guess the anchors per se, that really got it going?
Well, to start, I'll start with the food hall. So the food hall was the first thing that we opened at City Foundry back in August of 21. And we started with an inaugural 11. We can hold up to 20. We're up to 18 today. So just even there, we've been growing. But we started with the food hall thinking, where do people gather more than around the dining room table? So This is the perfect opportunity to get people on site and see it. And then when they came, they were like, wow, this is just the food hall. Look at all this other space that's going to be developed. And that's where, as the years went on, we introduced those anchors like Putt Shack and Alamo Draft House and City Winery and Sandbox. So those were nationally known brands that were looking at St. Louis thinking, this is where we want to come in St. Louis. So that's where you found those anchors there as well.
It's becoming like one-stop shopping right now, isn't it?
Yes. It was, you came to eat first, and now you can eat, you can shop. We have 14 local retailers down Foundry Way. You have your entertainment spaces that I just mentioned. And then there's also office. So if you wanted to work there, though, I don't know how you could get any work done with all of the food opportunities.
Right. You're going to want to go hang out in the restaurants and the bars over there. Who wants to work then?
Right, exactly.
And plus, you can go see a show after work as well.
Yeah, you can see a live show, or you can go see a movie. So, because Alamo Draft House is there too, and that's a movie theater.
Movies.
They're a movie theater. They're an upscale movie theater. So you can either go see one of the hit movies, like, I don't know if Barbie is still out, but one of those movies, or you can go down to City Winery and see some really well-known bands that are coming to St. Louis and stopping at City Winery.
Sure. What's the parking situation like that down there? Because anytime when you're in a busy spot like that, parking, is something you you want to make sure that you know about ahead of time before you head down.
Yeah, so the City Foundry currently has a free parking garage as well as 2 open lots on the east and west side of the property. And then one thing that's coming down the pike is we're building an apartment building, which I'm sure you may see as you're driving down 40. There are these 2 beautiful glass floor-to-ceiling towers. Those are going to be apartment buildings. So now not only are you going to be able to go eat at the Foundry, you can live there, but that's going to be on top of a 6-level parking garage, so even more parking to come.
Wow, so you'd probably just be able to pull in one of the free garages and go up the elevator or down the elevator.
And you're there.
You know, it's
you don't have to leave.
You don't have to leave.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
That's perfect. Let's talk about the concert venue a little bit. How many seats are there and what kind of bands are you bringing in?
Oh gosh, I should know off the top of my head how many seats are at City Winery, but they're bringing in just well-known comedians, well-known bands. I remember their first act was Al Stewart, I believe, and I was like, oh no, it was Gilbert O'Sullivan, which I know you're probably looking at me like, how do I know that? But
Home Alone, Naturally.
Yeah, that was their opening act.
That's a great song.
And I was probably the only person of my age at my work being like, guys, did you see who's opening at City Winery? And so there are names like that are coming to City Winery, as well as they have fun cover bands, they have fun poetry options. Look at their website because they have something going on almost every night, as well as just a great restaurant. So you can also just go there and enjoy a good meal.
You know, at the turn of the century, St. Louis had the 1904 World's Fair, and it was one of the largest cities in the United States for a really long time. I mean, downtown they had all the, the warehouses and the merchandise areas, and where the City Foundry is right now in Grand Center was a pretty historic spot, and that building's been there forever. Could you share some of maybe the history of the area and that block?
I'd love to give a history lesson. I grew up in St. Louis, so I love being able to share like what happened here in the city. The City Foundry, where it's located, almost 100 years ago, was a company called Century Electric. They purchased this manufacturing land, and it was really the manufacturing hub of St. Louis, given the proximity to the Wabash Railway. And actually, if you go to City Foundry today, you can see the old railway coming across from IKEA into the site. So there's already still remnants of that railway. So one of the top 3 manufacturing companies in the city, and they focused on making motors and generators that eventually sparked into these small household appliances that we know today. So that was over 100 years ago, and that's what was happening down, really lively area down there. And then you fast forward to 2015, and that's when Steve found it and thought, we can't demolish this. It was in risk of being demolished and having it be, your traditional shopping center.
Yeah.
And you have Steve Smith, who's an architect by trade, being like, holy cow, no, we can't get rid of this.
We can preserve
this. And so as you go through the City Foundry, you can see old pipes and tubes, and you can see the tracks of when they would transport the materials. There's this really cool sand tower. All of that has been preserved in this space. So in addition to walking in and getting great food, you're walking in and you're seeing all of this history right at your fingertips.
And there's a brand new business that's been in the works for quite some time.
Oh my gosh, I know where you're
that's just
going with
opened
this.
right now.
Yes.
And it might be underground.
Yes.
And there's a really famous chef teaming up with City Foundry for this project.
Yes, so James Beard Award winner Gerard Kraft, and I know him personally just because my dad was the restaurant critic, Joe Bonwich, in St. Louis for years.
That's
and so
your dad,
that was my dad. So hearing the up-and-coming chef Gerard Kraft, and now today being able to work with him, he initially helped us by helping curate the chefs in the food hall. So he was helping us figure out who would want to come into the food hall. But then on the side, right when Steve Smith, when we were cleaning out the City Foundry, so there was a mess. They were cleaning it out, and there was this pit full of mud and gunk. And as they were draining the water, they noticed these tunnels. And I always am like, that's the part of the movie where they're like, no, don't go down there because it's just really gross. And what is this? And they thought, this is perfect. This is perfect for an upscale cocktail lounge. And that's when they also brought in Gerard. And Gerard's like, hands down, I'm going to be involved with that. And now it's open. After so many years in the making. It's a really cool space.
So it's kind of like a speakeasy concept.
Yes.
And like you go through doors and now you go down tunnels. You have to walk down the tunnels, or how does it work when you have to like have a secret code or anything?
That is going to be changing all the time. So it's called NODA, none of the above, given that it's underground. And so the entrance, while you're walking at the foundry, you're not going to know where it is. There's one distinct feature that I'm just going to mention, that it's a distinct feature that when you know, and that's when you'll walk through and you'll feel like you're walking, you're like, I shouldn't be here. And then you start going down and you open the door and you feel like you've been transported to this new world. It's a really neat space.
Wow. So I'm assuming they're going to have like roll out a new menu, a new list of food and beverages, because Gerard Crafts, he's one of the the top famous chefs in the region with his restaurants Niche and Pastaria and and the endless one he has. Can you give us a little sneak preview? We got another minute or two.
Yeah, I can say, so Gerard Craft has been super involved with the City Foundries, let alone he has a restaurant, Fordo's Pizza, in the food hall. He's going to be a part of an international barbecue concept called Expat that we can look forward to in 24. Now for the speakeasy, this is really the cocktail experience. So there are going to be light snacks that are still beyond great, but you're going there to have that upscale cocktail experience. And then there's even, I saw this, there's like a little questionnaire of what kind of drink do you like, and they'll make that for you. So very personalized.
Wow, at first it's going to be really busy. Everybody's going to want to go there. Is there going to be a line? Will we be taking reservations? If it's full, are there opportunities to sit outside upstairs and maybe hang around until you can get in? Or how's it in and out, two in, two out? Yeah, how's it work?
As far as I know right now, it's really starting on that reservation, so you'll know when you can go in, but there's also going to be a wait list. That being said, you're going to be able to have it where you're not standing there wondering what's happening, whether it's you reserved in advance or you put your name on a wait list. So that's how it'll start.
Neat. So if someone wants to get some more information about the Foundry or the new speakeasy, let's do it one more time.
So you're going to go to the cityfoundrystl.com or follow us at City Foundry STL, and you'll be able to get all of your information there. And we're really excited to bring tons of people. Just come on site too. You're going to be able to find a lot of information on site as well.
You really like doing what you do, don't you?
Yes, I do. Can you tell by the
It's just so
smile?
infectious.
I
mean, your dad was a famous food critic, so you're probably a foodie at heart anyway.
Yes, I mean, I started with the food hall as my first project, so it's been very gratifying for me to be the little girl that tagged along on restaurant reviews and now working with the chefs and give them a home to collaborate and innovate.
And so I'd expect after this, hits the big time, there'll be more challenges and more business openings down the road.
At City Foundry?
Yeah,
Yes.
What's your vision?
Oh my gosh, it's hard to believe that we're still growing, but we still have a lot of options and opportunity coming in 2024. As I mentioned, we have Gerard Craft opening an international barbecue restaurant called Expat, and this place is huge. It's 3 stories. And then we also have the apartment buildings that we hope to have by next year, and a bunch of other retail that's coming on site. So just keep on coming down and you'll see something new.
Well, thank you, Susie, for joining us on City Corner. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's our show for today. I'd like to thank Susie Bonwich, Ed Callison for joining us in studio, and thank you for watching City Corner on STL TV. Experience St. Louis.